Law Talk with Nick Marouchak. Thanks to MKI Legal, your trusted employment and family lawyers.
I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
G'day, Nick. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, that's good. Nice to talk to you. Nick's back at Mission Control up at the 6PR studio, sitting back in those big comfortable chairs, curling the mo, feet up,
Yep.
massages, all of pina coladas.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think.
It's a big party over here.
If you'd like to ring Nick, you can, 133 882. Nick, we've got a caller. Julie's phoned in as first up. So Nick is here to take your calls. We do have a couple of we've got a little bit of generic advice for strata title owners. We'll come back to that in just a moment. But Julie's phoned in. Hi, Julie. Nick's listening. Fire away.
Oh, hi, Nick. Hi, Simon. How are you?
Yeah, good, Julie.
Good. We've got a bit of a situation in our community. We've got a bloke living, well, he was sort of living like in a squalor, and the community have donated things, brought him fridges, anything he needs so that he can live properly. But we found out that he got an inheritance from his father a few years ago, and the stepmother has taken the money and put it into a fixed term and won't allow him to have it.
Okay.
Wow.
Do you know...
Sorry, you go, Nick.
No, you
sorry,
go,
mate.
Bowie, please.
I was just going to ask, is he, Julie, is he a person who requires care or assistance?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay.
he's
all right.
on the NDIS.
Yep.
And
Okay.
can he make decisions for himself? Do you
Yes,
know-
he can.
Okay, so if he's got mental capacity, the cognition to make decisions, then he can decide and ask for that money back. Because if the inheritance was given to that person and that person's over 18, which I assume he is, then he's entitled to control it. If you can't make decisions for yourself, then there is a process that we have for that. You can, someone in your family can go to the State Administrative Tribunal and get a guardianship order, and they'll have authority to, and also an administration order, so they'll have authority to manage all your finances. So if the stepmother hasn't got that, then he's entitled to that money, and it's just a question of taking the steps to make sure it's very clear. So he would, have to make a demand for that money. And do you know if that stepmother was appointed in the will or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay, so she, do you know the terms of the will? Like, was there a trust set up or anything like that?
Yeah, what happened was the dad passed away and he left his some inheritance to this guy's brother and his wife, and then to this guy, right? And then she was the whole three of them were executors on the will.
Okay. So basically the executor has to give that money to this individual person, right? So they have about a year to process and administer the estate, and then they have to distribute that money to the person. So how long has it been since the death's passed, since the person's passed?
About 4 years.
Okay. Wow. All right. So we've seen this situation before, and I can give you some help offline. But basically what you want to do is that if he hasn't got his money in 4 years, that seems like a significant problem. So the executor of a will should have finished everything within a year. And if they haven't, unless there's a really good reason, then what this person can do is, first step is he can request them to provide an account of all the finances. So a beneficiary has that power to go, where's all the money gone? Explain it to me. Then he can then the next step is you can bring them before the Supreme Court to have them account for all their expenses before the court. And then another step is he can actually take steps to remove that executor and appoint himself in order to finish the distribution. So that's how the process is supposed to work if you have a derelict executor. And if they've spent any money or taken any money for themselves, well, that's a breach. That will be both a crime, stealing, and there'll also be a breach of their civil duties, because an executor has a duty to act for the best interests of the estate. So there's steps that he can take, and I can have a chat to you offline just to give you a few pointers as well, if you like, Julie. But yeah, definitely something wrong here. And 4 years is far too long. So, yeah.
I mean, she lives on a $2 million property in Wandi, right? And she just refuses to hand over the money to him.
Okay. Well, he has to, and then the thing is, the duty will be on him to take the steps, right? So he has to go through the legal system to fight his case.
Julie, I'll put you back to Kira and to Ronan, and we'll get your details. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for the offer, and we'll get back to that and see if we can help this bloke out. Julie, how old did you say? How old he was?
She's gone.
We lost Julie, I think. Just while we're talking, Nick, we're getting a lot of correspondence about the Commonwealth Bank. Peter says we're coming to the show and we can't get into our CommBank app, so So we're at the Commonwealth in Spearwood, hopefully getting some money out because at the show, cash is king. And this one here from pensioner Joe. Hi, Joe. Phone tech help CommBank, they're having major problems. They do not know when it'll be fixed. The assistant apologised. This affects all of their systems and transfers and net bank, all of it. Thank you, pensioner Joe. Thanks for letting us know. Anthony's phoned in. Hi, Anthony.
Hi, good morning, guys. Good morning, Nick. How you going?
Great, Anthony.
Mate, I just wanted to say a massive thanks to yourself, mate. I spoke to you a few weeks ago in regards to an issue on damages to a front verge.
Okay, yes, I remember. How did that resolve?
I did exactly what you instructed me to do. I sent that email off, and within, I'd be lying to you, mate, 3 days I got the information I needed.
Great.
And then I also got the gentleman to come out and rectify what he wanted to rectify and fix what he had to fix, mate. So on behalf of myself, a huge thanks, mate. I'm going to get a bronze statue built of you in front of 60R, mate.
That was a very this is one of the best calls I've ever had. Thank you, Anthony. And just to fill the rest of the listeners in, Anthony's situation was there was a contractor that was hired by the property manager next door. That contractor damaged Anthony's reticulation, and he didn't know. So because they're a contractor, he can't sue the property manager. So I drafted him an email to send to get, and then eventually it's all resolved. So yeah, I'm really glad that that was resolved because it was a grand or so to fix that reticulation.
Just what we need, a Nick Marouchak statue at the front of 6PA in glorious bronze. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks for calling in. I got some free legal advice down here at the show yesterday from Stu, who's a retired lawyer. Nick, he works in cost recovery, so he had no idea what I was talking about. But I said, I want to build a practice room for my band in my shed. Should I tell the neighbours? And he said, no. What would you do?
Well, I think that
Pre.
Look, it depends how noisy you're going to be. So if you guys are going to be pretty noisy, maybe tell the neighbours up front just to give them a heads up of when you're performing, because the whole noise complaint issue will be your problem, right? They'll make so if it gets to a significant level where you're disrupting the enjoyment of their property, then
I think I liked his advice more. He said, "Don't worry about it."
Well, yeah, I mean that's also a very valid option too. So, but it's the easiest, the path of least resistance. So, it's not a problem until it becomes a problem, right?
It's a continuum. Legal advice is a continuum, and he did say to me, free advice is worth how much you pay for it. We'll come back. If you'd like to speak to Nick Marouchak, who's getting a statue built outside the 6PR studio sometime soon, courtesy of listener Anthony, give us a shout. Ring Nick, 133 882. We do have some Nick's tips for strata title owners. We're running a poll today too. Nick, are you okay for paramedics to be paid triple time to help get on top of ambulance ramping? The yeses are 19 and the noes are 37. Keep those votes coming in. Come and see us down here at the show. Shannon is sitting down and she wants to stand up and meet people. She wants to meet nice people, don't you, Shannon? 6PR listeners. Come down. Back in a set with Nick Marouchak. Nick Marouchak's with us from MKI Legal today. Nick, Bruce says it might be a Commonwealth Bank flow onto Bank West, can log into personal account but cannot change password. So keep the correspondence coming in, folks. We'd let your fellow listeners know what's going on. 0487 999 882. Nick, Veronica's phoned in. Hi, Veronica.
Oh, hi, guys. My daughter's looking at buying a strata. It was a big block, pretty much in half. Either end has its own separate street. How do you go about subdividing that legally, and is it a big cost? How does that work? Can you, can't you?
Yeah, so you would have to have a look at the strata rules. And how many other owners are on the property?
There's only two.
Okay, so if you want to subdivide, then you'll need to basically get pass a resolution and get consent from all the property owners. So if you and the other property owners want to do it, then as long as you have consent between both of you, then you'll be able to do it, and then you have to go through the whole planning commission and stuff like that. So that's the first thing. Basically, if they don't want to subdivide, then you're probably not going to be able to do it. Very unlikely, because to sell the property or to do anything material like subdivision, you need to have it's more than just the 50% vote. You'll need to get like a special majority, which is like 75%, or so that's how it works at a high level. So speak to the neighbours, gain their interest, and then take it from there. But if they can very well block you.
Is that okay, Veronica? Does that help?
Yeah, is it like a $2,000 thing or a $10,000 thing?
Oh, subdivision?
Yeah.
My understanding, and some other listeners would know better. It's actually, it's probably a $10,000 thing. Like this is outside my area, but you have to go to the WA Planning Commission. You have to look at the council rules and the zoning to see if you can subdivide it. There's just there's a big process. So definitely outside my expertise. But I would suggest maybe.
Veronica, sorry, Nick, what shire are you in, Veronica? What town are you in?
It's in Wanneroo.
Yeah, okay. I wonder if they could help you. I wonder if that's a good place to start on your zoning and see.
Yeah, no, I'll do that.
Yeah. Hey, Veronica, what's that noise in the background? It sounds like you're standing near a windmill or something.
No, I'm just in my car, but a police-looking car just drove past.
Yeah, okay. Right, okay. It sounds like there's something creaking and clanking in the background. It could be Nick.
No,
Nick's
not me.
Okay. Nick, he's out of that metal plate Nick's got in his head.
Thank you.
Well done, Veronica. I hope that helped. Let us know how you go. Maybe try City of Wanneroo as a starting point, but as Nick says, there's state and local legislation around all that. It's a reasonably bureaucratic, but it's a process a lot of people go through. 133. Thanks, Veronica. Really nice to hear from you. You're running for the caller of the day today. Nick Marouchak's with us from MKI Legal. We could sneak in another call if you want to get through to Nick. Hey, and Nick's very good if he can't find out the answer straight away. As you heard from Anthony earlier, he's happy to follow stuff up, which we really appreciate. Nick, some tips and traps for strata title owners.
That's right. So I got a few quick tips here for people. Because strata is becoming more common as you know, we move into more high density housing. So first tip is read the strata bylaws and understand the strata plan. This will set rules in relation to pets, parking, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're a dog lover and you purchase something and you later discover that no pets are allowed, that could have been avoided. And so have a good read of that first. And when you're buying strata, there's actually a process. They have to give you all that information. Second thing is misunderstanding what you actually own. So when you look at the strata lot, it will actually say the lot boundaries, and it will say this is your area and this is common property. And sometimes people misunderstand what common property is. So sometimes if you have your pergola sometimes may be deemed as common property, whereas you may incorrectly assume that it's your property. And sometimes the schemes also define what your property is actually basically the airspace inside the boundary wall, and you don't actually own the external walls, right? So you have to be very clear on what you own, because say, for example, if you put roller shutters down on the external walls and you don't own it, you're actually building on common property, and so you've done an illegal addition or alteration there, so you may have to remove it. So be careful of that. The other thing is make sure you really understand the financial health of the strata company, because make sure they have a sinking fund for repairs, because if something goes wrong, the lifts break or something, you could be hit with a special levy. Tip number 5 is be careful about insurance gaps. So strata company is responsible for insuring the common area and the building, but don't assume that sometimes you can be underinsured. So if there's a fire, for example, and your kitchen's damaged, maybe the insurance won't cover the actual the goods in the house. So just be aware of that. And the last tip is don't be a passive owner, because attend those meetings, because sometimes a small group of individuals can actually approve costly projects or past renovations. Because if you want to do a renovation towards the common property, sometimes it's just a vote without dissent. So if you're not there, you might discover that these small group of people can really change the direction of the whole building. So better to attend or get a proxy to attend. So they're my quick tips on
thank you. No worries, thank you. Nick's phoned in. G'day, Nick.
Yeah, guys, how are you?
Yeah, good, Nick.
Nick, I just want to know, I'm down in Serpentine Jordan area, now I've got a pool, and we've got to pay a levy to the Shire, like a tax, every year, and they come out and inspect it, and I've actually had my pool inspected, 2 or 3 times, and they bring up things, every time they come out and have a look, they bring up things, but the year before, nothing's wrong with it. Is this legal? Can they do this every year to you, or...?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I believe I have to look into this issue because that's a very niche issue. So I'm happy to look into it. My initial view is that I think it would be legal because the council does have the right to kind of regulate these pool levies, and that seems to be an area within the council regulation. And so I can look into it further just to confirm the legality of it. And so if you leave your details with the producer, I'm happy to give you an email or a call back, Nick, and just to check this. But my strong assumption would be yes, it's legal, and in order to dispute things like that, you often have to go to the State Administrative Tribunal. So I'll give you some information there if you like.
Yeah, all right. We'll put you back to Kira and to Ronan, Nick, and we'll see if we can help you out. Nick, thanks very much for today. Really appreciate it, and I will see you next week in the studio. Do you think you'll bring the family to the Royal Show at some point? It's pretty nice down here. Nice weather, nice people. Nice radio stations.
Yes. Well, my family, my wife and my kid are actually in the Eastern States for the next 2 weeks. So I'm home alone. So I won't be bringing them. Yeah. So I might actually just do a solo trip myself with a few friends potentially.
I think that's a hard no. I reckon you're going to stay right on that couch. Although knowing you'll probably be working from home with a laptop on the in your office. So, mate, thanks for talking to our listeners. Thanks for always following up. It's a great value add you bring to our program and to this segment. Thank you, mate. Have a great day.
Thank you, Bowie.